Hey, my name is James, the non-professional, back with another episode of Draw, Draw, Draw. And today we're going to do the bust of Joker. Now, as I said in my Spider-Man video, I like to do profiles because profiles give you an accurate idea of what the proportions should be on a figure. And so we're going to zoom in really close to Joker's head and we're going to get the proportions of a face. So the circle that you see on the side there of his head is sort of a skull plate on the side. And it's the bottom of that circle is typically where your jawline is going to end, and then you're going to place the ear inside that circle somewhere. Now the entire head is portioned into quarters. So you get the top quarter, which is where the hairline typically is. I made his hairline, I guess, a little too high there, but that's where the hairline generally is. And the halfway point on the head, see that line cutting across just the middle of the skull there? That's where the eyes generally fall in. And then the last, or the third quarter, the end of the third quarter is where the tip of the nose is. And your mouth usually falls in between the last quarter and the bottom of the skull, or the bottom of the jaw. So it's in the middle of the last quarter of the entire head. And those are your general proportions of your heads. Now, people like the Incredible Hulk, they usually are different because Incredible Hulk has a gigantic jowl and a small nose, so those proportions are going to be off. But for your typical faces, it's usually, again, proportioned into 4 quarters, hairline, eyes, tip of the nose, and then, of course, the mouth falls in between, in the middle of the last quarter of the head. So let's get into some roughs. Just as usual, I'm just throwing a bunch of lines up on the stage, and I'm just playing around and seeing what I can come up with, getting a good feel for what I want the drawing to be, and not finalizing anything specific. You see, I changed his hair to a full head of hair to this sort of side shaved head, a more modern look. I wanted to go with a more young Joker and a more, contemporary Joker, as opposed to the 1980s Joker in the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Excellent performance, by the way, by Mr. Joaquin Phoenix there. But anyways, that design, I guess, of a mouth, the mouth makeup, the smile is actually from Greg Capullo's Joker in, what is that? I think it's Court of Owls. Maybe, I don't know. Can't remember. But anyways, we're in lines now, so keep your lines super tight. And let's pin down some definitive details here. As phenomenal and as viscerally real the Joker movie was with Joaquin Phoenix, the one problem I had with it is I had a hard time believing that rendition of the Joker was the intellectual equivalent or the intellectual competition to someone as intelligent as the Batman. It just seems like he had a lot of mental issues that would distract him from thinking clearly. But hey, that was the beginning stages of the Joker, and I don't know. Maybe he sharpened or honed his villainy abilities, in the years following. Because Bruce Wayne was actually really, really young in that movie. So the encounters that Batman actually had with Joker take place, several years after the events in that movie. So who knows what happened in between then. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up the lines here with some hair. Such a struggle for me for so long. Hair. It's ridiculous. Anyways, here we go. Lines. Make them super tight because this is it before they go to colors. And the color artist needs to know exactly what you want. So one thing I forgot to mention when we were doing proportions is that side skull plate actually has a line sort of protruding from the side of it, that circle. And it goes down to the corner of the mouth and then up underneath the chin. And that's their cheekbone. That's the cheekbone of the skull there. And that sort of indentation just to the right of the eye, that's actually the temple of the skull. If you actually look at an anatomy app and you break it down all the way to the skull, you're going to see that sort of temple indentation and the cheekbone. You can actually sort of, if you look at the drawing carefully, you can actually see this sort of skull shape on the front of his head, the cheekbones coming down to the jaw, and of course the temple, and then of course the protrusion above the eyes where the eyebrow usually sits. So it's basically a skull wrapped in skin, just like any human being. So let's give him this gigantic bow tie with some polka dots on that thing. He is a Joker after all. I thought about putting a, gigantic flower on his lapel. That flower that squirts acid like in the original Batman with Michael Keaton. But I thought it would be just a little bit too much on his outfit, and it would be too just sort of cluttered out there, so I just went ahead and left it out. So if you notice around the shaved head there's a bunch of details on the bottom of the head, or the base of the skull, as opposed to just the dead center of the skull plate on the side. Why? Because again, I'm trying to emphasize a little curvature there, and the fact that the bottom of the skull plate is generally going to be darker because the light source, of course, is coming up on top. You can see the light source by what you see on his nose and his neck and his bow tie. The light source is obviously on top, and so the things that are on the bottom are going to be generally more shaded. Just again, like the base of his skull there. Alright, so we're going to put a little background there, a little spatter. All that is a paintbrush tool that just creates, spattered, sort of spilled paint all over the place. Alright, that should just about wrap it up. Always remember your 3 P's: persistence, patience, perseverance. That's how you're going to mature in any endeavor. Hey guys, if you like my content, please like or comment below. And if you want regular updates, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.